So I thought try something a little different. Um, Unlike the usual channel content, this is actually a kind of lap walkthrough, I guess. Unfortunately, I don't actually own a GoPro, so this is my friend Aaron following me. I'm right up there in the yellow. Um, and I guess I'm going to break down the lap of New York safety, at least as much as I can, at least from my perspective. This is as much notes for me for the next time I go there as a walkthrough for someone else. So heading out on the front straight. On the front straight, there's a couple of things to think about. So if house rules at New York Safety is if you're planning to be passed, you stay to the right of the center line, the dashed line. If you plan to be passing, you go on the left. Now, another thing that really happens a lot is a lot of new riders, a lot of riders not familiar with New York Safety end up braking like by the hanger, basically. And it's kind of completely unnecessary because even if you're on like the fastest super bike kind of thing, here's the 400 board. It's like multiple seconds past the hanger. So what you'll see out of a lot of first timers early on is they end up kind of braking in the straight, then kind of going, oh, I have a lot more to go, and then getting back on the gas, which is a little bit silly. So anyway, at the 400 board, maybe if you're on a faster bike than on an SV, you can actually wait till like the 250. There's no 250 board, but between the 300 and 200, and that's still not like crisis braking. That's kind of, let's say, casual braking as far as tracks go. So bring it back in, aim for the cone with the white flag, get your head over to roughly where I am right now. There's a cone there at the first apex of turn one. Get your bike pointed there and actually try to hit it kind of close. Aaron missed it by a couple of feet. That's not really a big deal. And then as you're here, you're really looking way up the track for these double cones over here and haul it back into them. So good job there for setting up for this turn. You don't really need to be all the way on the outside. What I end up doing, and this, by the way, is not the coach line. This is kind of the line I end up taking because it makes more sense to me. It seems to give me a little better result than trying to ride the coach line for no particular reason. So I kind of end up staying towards the left middle. I don't really end up using the whole track because this is very much a trail braking corner. I kind of end up getting on the brakes and getting it turned towards the apex. There's the first apex, getting it turned towards the first apex on the brakes. And then basically trying to get on the gas, maybe just keeping it steady, maybe a little bit of coasting, kind of depending how you ended up here. Like Aaron would basically, since he's a little offline, he'll end up with a little bit of coasting before he can get on the throttle. And once again, just like in turn one, you're looking for the double cones up here. You're keeping an eye out to try to haul it back into them. So then this straight, not straight, curve, not curve sort of thing is a really good spot to pass some people because a lot of the newer riders are kind of tentative about what they want to do here. Do they want to hammer it? Do they want to do anything? So turn four is not really a turn. The coach line is staying to the outside towards that turn and cone, and then cutting in. On a slower bike like an SV, you're not actually bringing that much speed because you just can't accelerate that hard. So you can actually stay towards kind of the middle and then brake towards the apex. So here's the first apex. You want to be a bit closer than Aaron is right now, and then like kind of brake towards it and then get off the brakes around it and then let it run out wide, a little wider than Aaron is doing actually. And around here, you're kind of looking out of the top of your visor for the double cones for the second apex. So they're going to come into view a little bit. You kind of haul it back into them. And then if you did this right, you're basically going to be pointing straight. So very late apex, basically like the very last thing you're doing is right around these cones. You're kind of straight lining it for the top of the hill. Right around here, there's a cone right at the apex of the wheelie hill turn, which isn't actually much of a turn. If you do it right, you basically go straight and then go straight over wheelie hill. It's kind of it's unnerving, but you can take it a lot faster people think. I'm actually kind of a giant pussy and end up taking it a lot slower than I could be. I almost end up backing off for it because it's unnerving, but really, even the fast superbike guys, yeah, they'll go over it, they'll get a little wiggle, and then just kind of hammer it down. So, note to self, go faster through that. So then this flowy section, it's a whole bunch of late apex corners. You're basically kind of flowing through here. Really fun part of the track. Late apex kind of brake into this turn. This does take a little bit of braking, and you do want to end up outside to kind of give yourself a nice run, get a lot of throttle coming through here. Also a really good passing area. So for this turn, there was the first apex, there's the second one, and then you don't really need to run all the way to the right for the next turn. You're actually kind of middle track. Definitely a late turn in for it. And what you're looking for is right around here, there are two double cones, and they're going to come into view a bit later. You're aiming for the second apex. There's the two double cones. And if you end up doing this right, this little chicane becomes not a chicane. You just go straight through it and brake towards the apex. Now, Aaron kind of swings out wide to the right a little bit. I've really never had to do that, but maybe I'm on a slower bike than he is, so maybe he kind of needs to swoop it a little bit more. So out of this corner, you want to use the whole track on acceleration, but you do want to kind of get to the left, because what happens is if you're all the way left, if your wheels are kind of over here, this little right chicane stops being a chicane. You kind of just go straight through it. This one's a really fun corner. There's a lot of banking here. There's a lot of camber. So you can really hammer through it, and there's a lot of kind of like gravity pushing you into the seat. So last corner coming onto the straight, it's faster than it looks. It looks very slow, but the straight is actually a lot wider than the rest of the track. It's almost twice as wide as the rest of the track. So you can get a lot more corner speed through there. Now, see what I'm talking about? People braking at the hangar. Aaron decides not to go after these guys and kind of tuck in behind them. But you can really brake a lot later. Tip in at the flag. Aim for the first cone. Everybody missed that. Aim for the double cones. Aaron hauled it back in right to them. Kind of stay middle leftish of the track. Brake towards the first apex. Missed that completely. Aim towards the second apex. Haul it back in. This guy in front actually did it very well. Let it run out wide. You can really be on the power here. There's a lot of grip. This is one of the grippiest tracks I've ever seen. Once again, everybody kind of staying middle, but you can kind of almost stay left and brake towards, run this out a little wider, then haul it back in, so you have a nice straight line up to Wheelie Hill. Then kind of, once again, back through the flowy sections. Let's see how these guys do it. Turn in at the apex of the last turn, brake a little more for the left-hander. Turn in pretty early for this one. They turned in quite late. Aaron could actually get around both of them on the outside or the inside here. It really wouldn't have mattered. He wouldn't have spooked them at all. Try to hit that first apex. Look for the double cones. They all hit that pretty well. Turn in a little later. Aaron's doing a better job than the guys in front of them. Kind of draw a straight line through this chicane. See, they kind of all hook right. They really don't need to do that. This is a good spot to be right now because you can see it's kind of a straight line. There is no right to make this left. And then onto the front straight. This is a lot faster than it looks. They all chicken out, and Aaron's going to hammer past them, which is going to be cool. So let's watch what happens after that. So he kind of hammers past them. Still pops up a bit early. You can really pop up much later, as is demonstrated by the guy in the black. Just kind of comes in underneath everybody on the brakes. So, courtesy of being tight on the inside, he ends up a little wide at the exit, but it doesn't really matter. He got the pass done. So, come out, haul it back in towards the apex. Really nicely done, guy in black leathers. And then kind of hammer down the straight. They are on faster bikes than the SVs, so they will take a slightly swoopier line further out. kind of brakes towards the apex, runs it out wide on the power, aims up the hill, aims up the hill, aims up the hill, aims up the hill, straight line to the cones. Nice flowy section. You do actually want to use as much track as you got on the entrance to it. Late apex again, brakes, late apex, and right around then get on the gas and start turning in. This area kind of opens up wide, so you have tons of room. It's a curve, but it's not a curve, it's really a straight. On the brakes, a little leaned over, get out the apex, haul it back in for the second one. Nicely done, Aaron. Late turn in for this one, look up the track, look for the double cones, hits it nicely. Straight line, really no need to do that little hook. Perfect place, no need to do the right hook at all, he still does it anyway. Gravity corner, I can't remember what its name is, and this one's a lot faster than it looks. So there's a couple of laps around New York Safety with Aaron's camera. I unfortunately only briefly appeared in this one. So hope this helps somebody, and I know I'm going to be reviewing it myself next time I go to New York Safety, so I get a jump start and remember what my markers are and stuff like that.